What is information? Let these 8 superstar cyberneticians answer the question. A very simple story about an unanswered phone call will help a lot to understand what information is all about. In the 50s, I was at a friend's home and the phone rang twice and stopped. Then my friend said, "That means my dad's flight to New York arrived safely. This way, we don't have to pay for the long distance call. We'll talk tonight when the rates are much lower." Information is anything that reduces uncertainty. It is important to notice that it involves a hidden agreement, like a contract. Every word we say carries an implicit contract about its meaning. The same is true for every letter of the alphabet. After World War II, the cyberneticians got together to figure out how to communicate more efficiently or improve secret codes. By using zeros and ones, they took advantage of the processing power of computers and changed the world forever. Today, a phone call is worth peanuts, and long distance charges are gone. However, information is a tricky subject. These 2 videos have erroneous statements when they talk about the amount of information, and yet one of them has more than a million views. Allow me to present 8 superstar cyberneticians to answer the question, what is information? 5 of them participated in the creation of the Big Bang of the information age. This was during the Macy Foundation meetings that took place in New York City from 1946 to 1953. First at bat is Norbert Wiener. The father of cybernetics had it very clear. He said, "Information is information, not matter or energy. The universe is made of energy, matter, and information." He also said, "Information is also a measure of the organization of a system." Following Wiener, this slide shows how information, energy, and matter are intertwined. This gentle giant, that went by the name of Gregory Bateson, puts it bluntly: information is the difference that makes a difference. Following Bateson, information is not a material or physical thing. Nevertheless, we need matter or energy or both to generate a difference that can be used to build a message. We can use any object, symbols, letters, pictures, light, or even a song or a movie to produce or convey information. Stafford Beer was not at the Macy conferences, but he later became the father of management cybernetics. His definition of information says, "Information is what changes us. It is literally that which informs us, which gives us form." Following Stafford Beer, when we say that every atom of the universe is informed about what it takes to be and act like an atom, we're talking about information as a primary concept with the same scientific status as matter and energy. If we say we got information about a football game outcome, then we are using information as communication in a more practical way. Russell Acuff was a great system thinker. He put all sorts of information into a neat little package. He says, Data plus context equals information. Information plus rules equals knowledge. Russell Acuff has broken information in its general sense to include data, specific information, knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. Claude Shannon, who is considered the father of information theory, did not consider the importance of meaning. Therefore, his definition of information was a purely quantitative measure of communication exchanges. Ross Ashby gets into the thick of things and refutes Shannon. He says, the transmission and storage of information is thus essentially related to the existence of a set of possibilities. The information carried by a particular message depends on the set it comes from. The information conveyed is not an intrinsic property of the individual message. His wonderful book, An Introduction to Cybernetics, really explains all of this. And it is given for free by his family. It's on the web. Heinz von Forster was against Shannon's subtraction of meaning. He said, information, even in the technical sense, could not be severed from meaning without horrendous consequences for human understanding. His theory, meaning Shannon's, was really signal theory because information was not yet there. The moment one transforms that set of signals into other signals our brains can make an understanding of, then information is born. It's not the beeps. Umberto Maturana, the Chilean biologist, says everything said is said by someone, meaning, as Forster would say, an observer. The point is, you need an observer to point out a difference, to notice the existence of information. It makes little sense to talk about information being transmitted when there is no one to receive it. There is no such thing as information in a void. In the communications world, information is a relative concept. It presupposes the existence of an observer. It must be said that von Forster, Maturana, and Beer collaborated in the creation of second-order cybernetics, that is, the cybernetics of cybernetics, or the science of the observer. By doing so, they elevated cybernetics into a new scientific paradigm. It's another way of doing science, in contrast with the reductionist paradigm of Newtonian cause and effect science. Today, most science is based on the creation of models and is actually computerized science based on what I call a cybernetic approach of testing and adjusting models. Wiener and Shannon, shown here together, had a fundamental disagreement. While Shannon said that information was entropy, Wiener said that it was negentropy. History also has them clashing over who said what first. Shannon published the first part of his mathematical theory of communication in July 1948. In it, he introduced the notion of the binary digit, creating the word bit. He also talks about channel capacity and redundancy. among other things. Shown in the center is the formula both cyberneticians used to describe how to calculate the amount of information in a message. One used the minus sign and the other did not. Here I show Wiener saying information is a statistical substance as applied to messages. And then I make up this other phrase by Shannon, where he is rebutting Wiener, saying, I don't care for meaning, I just want the bits and bytes I send to get through. It's a little joke. What convinced Wiener to think of information as negentropy was Erwin Schrödinger's idea that life battles the second law of thermodynamics constantly in order to preserve the structure that keeps it going. Information commands the energy the body ingests to rebuild itself. So, if thermodynamic entropy is the villain, then negentropy is the hero. Life is sustained by information processes, or you guessed, negentropy. Information and entropy are rivals, one in favor of life, the other constantly trying to stop it. Wiener's solution makes much more sense than Shannon's and is better thought out. Shannon gave Wiener credit for some of the central ideas of his new mathematical theory of communication. However, history has given the credit of information theory to Shannon. Now, if we read this timeline, we see that it does justice to Wiener. Shannon is seen as the father of information or information theory. But the truth is, he was more into communications, effective information transmission, but in his passion for accurate transmission, disregarded meaning. The timeline shows that Wiener defined information and information content and the bit in September of 1946. His yellow peril paper goes back to 1942. His conference with Rosenbluth is from January 1943. So, it is said that Shannon plucked Wiener's brain at MIT several years earlier and then came up with his theory in 1948, slightly ahead of Wiener's book. One final comment. Please notice that a 0 or a 1 do not carry the same information if the probability of the event to which they are attached is not the same. Wiener's unit amount of information refers to two equally probable alternatives, as in a flip of a coin, but not necessarily in every yes or no question. If you ask, did it rain when chances were very low? A yes carries much more information than the yes of a 50-50 chance of rain. This is the reason as to why the two videos I mentioned in the beginning have wrong statements. Thank you for watching. Your comments are welcome.